What would you do if an AI agent deleted the wrong files in your codebase and you only found out after the fact? That is not a hypothetical. It happened, and this video breaks down exactly how AI agent file deletion goes wrong and what you can do to prevent it. AI coding agents are not just autocomplete tools anymore. They can open files, scan entire directories, write new code, run commands in the terminal, and delete things they decide are no longer useful. That last part is where this story starts. The task seemed simple enough. The agent was asked to clean up a project folder, remove and use dependencies, and organize the structure a little. Standard housekeeping. The kind of thing a junior developer might spend an afternoon on. Before we get into what happened, it helps to understand how an AI agent actually reads a codebase. It does not experience files the way you do. It builds a representation of the directory tree, infers relationships between files based on imports and references, and makes decisions based on that representation. If the representation is incomplete or wrong, every decision downstream is built on a bad foundation. In this case, the agent scanned the project and identified a folder it flagged as containing legacy assets. The folder name was ambiguous. It had not been touched in several months. No file in the main source tree explicitly imported anything from it. From the agent's perspective, it looked unused. It was not unused. That folder contained build configuration scripts used only during deployment. They were never imported by application code because they ran outside the application entirely. The agent had no way to know that from static analysis alone, and nothing in the task prompt told it to check. The agent flagged the folder for deletion in its internal plan, rated the action as low risk, and proceeded. No confirmation prompt appeared. No diff was shown. The files were gone before anyone looked at a preview. Here is why the guardrails did not stop it. Most AI agent frameworks have safety settings, but many of those settings are opt-in rather than opt-out. The default configuration for the tool being used here allowed write and delete operations without requiring a confirmation step. That default exists because confirmation prompts slow down automated pipelines. But in an interactive session on a real project, that default is the wrong choice. There was also no sandboxing in place. Sandboxing means the agent operates on a copy of your files, or in an isolated environment, and changes only propagate to the real project after you approve them. Without sandboxing, every action the agent takes is live and immediate. Version control should have been the safety net, and in theory it was. The project used Git. But the deleted files had not been committed recently. They existed on disk but were sitting in an untracked state because the developer had been iterating on them. Git cannot recover files it was never told about. Recovery ended up being a combination of checking the operating system trash folder, scanning backup snapshots, and reconstructing parts of 2 scripts from memory and old chat logs. It took a few hours. It was stressful. It was entirely avoidable. So what are the practical fixes? There are 3 settings worth addressing before you give any AI agent write access to a project you care about. The first is confirmation mode. Almost every mature agent tool has a setting that requires the agent to present a plan and wait for explicit approval before executing destructive actions. Find it. Turn it on. The second is file system scope. You can usually tell an agent which directories it is allowed to touch. If the task is about cleaning up source files in a src folder, there is no reason the agent should have any access to config folders, hidden directories, or deployment scripts. Narrow the scope before you start. The third is commit before you start. Before any AI agent session that involves write access, make a commit. Even a rough one. Even with a message like pre-agent checkpoint. That single habit means your recovery path is always clean and requires no heroics. Beyond individual settings, there is a bigger mental model shift worth making. When you use a tool that can only read, the cost of a mistake is confusion. When you use a tool that can write and delete, the cost of a mistake is data loss. Those are not the same category of risk, and the setup process should reflect that difference. Autonomous agents are genuinely useful. The ability to hand off repetitive file work, refactoring tasks, or dependency audits to an agent is a real productivity gain. The developers getting the most out of these tools are not the ones giving agents the most access. They are the ones who have thought carefully about exactly what access is necessary for each specific task. There is also a useful practice of writing an explicit context file for your project. Some teams call this an agent README or a project manifest. It describes what each major folder is for, which files are critical, and what the agent should never touch without asking. Dropping that file at the project root gives the agent better information and reduces the chance of a misclassification like the one in this story. The tools are moving fast. Agent capabilities that required custom setup a year ago ship as default features today. That means more developers are handing over write access without necessarily thinking through the implications. The gap between what these tools can do and what most onboarding tutorials cover is real, and it is worth paying attention to. To recap, AI agents can and will make decisions about your files based on incomplete information. Default configurations in many tools favor speed over safety. Sandboxing, confirmation mode, scoped access, and a pre-session commit are the 4 habits that close most of the risk gap. None of them are complicated. They just have to become routine. If this video saved you from a future headache, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach other developers who need to hear this before it happens to them rather than after. Subscribe if you want more straightforward content on using AI tools in real projects. Next video covers how to structure AI agent prompts so the agent actually understands your project context before it touches a single file.